You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on this fine network right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. If you're transitioning here locally in the Central Florida area, you can pick us up every Monday night right here. If you find us on podcast or YouTube, and you're in the Central Florida area and you want to listen to us live, either way, check us out every Monday night. And then we take that from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. every Monday night. Then we take that to a podcast that shows up on our YouTube page. Like us, subscribe us there, Contractor Talk Podcast. And then also on any streaming site that you listen to, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, anything there you'll hear a podcast. Just like in the past couple of years, you'll hear us banter back and forth and have different guests over the years that have been really here for the consumer. And we were, prior to, just more or less looked at, or more of the agenda was more contractor talk. I mean, it just exactly was like that, more at a high level. This is what's going on. This is what's expected from either legislative changes, how it affects contractors, that kind of stuff. We realized years back that the consumers are the ones that all of us contractors are talking to and are explaining that these are the ways that this should be, what industry standard is in whatever way that is, whether they're coming from a plumber, whether they're coming from an air conditioning company, whether it come from public adjusting, roofing, full-on contracting. And we talk a lot here about insurance-related claims and property damage. I'm your host, Richie Kidwell, and we have a property damage attorney, Hans Kennon. What's going on, Hans?
Oh, God, glad to be back again. Yet another Monday, always good. It's funny to talk about kind of our change a little bit in methodology. I know sometimes someone will come ask me a question about something in the law, and I'll start talking, and I'm all into it, and I'm rolling in it. My wife's like, "It's not that interesting," and I go, "No, I think it is." She's like, "No, it's not." And what you find out is folks just need help. They're not as concerned about how to build the wash as to what time it is. And sometimes I start building watches for people, and I take a step back and go, okay, how can we help you? And I think we've done with this show since we started here in January is really focused on ideally on personalities and solutions for people's everyday problems as well as their insurance problems, trying to give people, I think, a broader base of ways to help themselves and help others.
Absolutely. And within the association that sponsors is the Restoration Association of Florida, nonprofit association by contractors for contractors here in the state of Florida, is now kind of taken that new edge of pulling the experts that we have within our network and onto the show and to describe what their biggest either successes and maybe issues are within this industry. I think is very helpful. And we do talk a lot about hurricane preparedness, storm preparedness, and just being ready for your average every day, even to where I can't find adequate insurance. And what is the difference between my HO3 policy and a surplus lines policy? Your negotiable versus non-negotiable policies. And you do a great job, Hans, on if any callers come in or any people outside of that have these tough legal questions. Of course, it's hard to really pinpoint it. Mostly it depends. But, I
learned that in law school. They told me in law school there's two things I can always say. I can always say I don't know. I can always say it depends. And today my wife asked me a question, and I said, that is both I don't know and it depends.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah, there you go.
And sometimes that happens. And in many cases, though, we've seen both of us, and I think you've seen many more, especially when it comes to that point of litigation, to what could possibly happen and what could possibly be the result with the experience that we have. Me as an expert in the industry, you actually litigating these cases for homeowners, and which we've seen in the paper last year after the two storms that came through just a year ago. I think, what is it, October 9th is the deadline filing an insurance claim for
1 year for Hurricane Milton. Yep.
And maybe it was this year, but they were taking into account about 6 months after the storm, and there were, out of all the claims that were filed, 15 insurance companies were noted to decline more than 50% of all the claims filed. And that's just absolutely ridiculous when the state needs you the most. And whenever you think you're in good hands, you've been paying your premiums every month, every year, and renewing this and thinking that you've got a good neighbor, you're under control, everything's covered, and you find out that it's the exact opposite, and that your insurance company is working against you. You're paying them to work against you, and to the fact that Citizens Insurance, out of 6.5 million HO3 policies, they have 1/6 of them, about a little over 1 million policies up and down. They've been selling a bunch of takeout policies lately with crappy policy language in their caps and all that. But that's a whole other story. But they had 1/6 of the market. They were top number one. 77% of all claims filed from those two storms were declined or paid under deductible. And then, of course, people's distrust was right there at 76%, and then all the way down to your snake farms and your all snakes and all these guys also declining more than 50% of all the claims.
But we're not bitter. We're not bitter about it.
No, not at all. Not at all, especially while the CEOs of these companies are making between $500,000 and $1 million a week in salaries. And one of them, and the guy I think I'm more envious of than anything, Bruce Lucas.
Yes.
You can blow up Enron and then come over here and get the most welcome from the state of Florida in all of these policies, paying up front for policies. But anyways, they were in the paper.
Which is true. That, we're not making up the fact he was a lawyer for Enron. I mean, we like, you might see it and go, oh, that's a funny joke. No. Bruce Lucas was a lawyer for Enron, opened Heritage Insurance, sold it, and opened up Slide.
That's right. Made $80 million in 8 years with Heritage, and then opened up Slide and was given, I think, $350-something million to start off the 91,000 UPC policies that were just given to them
from the state.
From the state, right? It's just a gift.
Yes.
Hey, congratulations on your new company. Here's 91,000 policies to get it started. Oh, by the way, here's all the premiums up front for the whole year, too.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, don't worry about any of the claims, because all those claims are now over to FIGA, and all of us policyholders are paying that. Don't worry about it. We got you. And so that's what happened in this case. And so you scratch your head and you wonder, especially after several weeks ago, a paper came out with Bruce Lucas' wife was out shopping. She apparently makes about $20 million a year as some sort of administrative person or whatever. She's probably really good at her job. But apparently she was out shopping and was basically called out for that, just saying, while you're at this super high declination rate of claims. So it just doesn't make sense. The state of Florida just allows this stuff, this murder to happen, and when you look at who supports them, I'll get off the horse real soon, okay, I promise. But is when you look at who supports these legislators, right? Who gave $100 million to Governor DeSantis to run for president, right?
Who
gave $3.5 million to the fish farmer out of the Panhandle run for CFO?
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's just like all these positions over insurance were all funded by the insurance lobby, and of course they get what they want in this, and so we're all paying for it. Literally, and while they're reaping all the benefits of it. So definitely not bitter at all, for sure. But let's talk about happier things, right? In life. And so like events coming up, especially as we get ready for the hurricane which we made predictions in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
My prediction is coming up too close. I may have to extend my prediction, but
you can't extend a prediction. It's not a prediction anymore.
I predicted I needed an extension, and so as well. But it was looking at September 4th, somewhere on the East Coast, somewhere like maybe Daytona-ish.
Right.
And so I feel failure right now, being that it is the 25th. And
two big. I mean, Aaron and Fernando are both. Well, Aaron was. It was a big storm.
Oh, it was.
It just went the wrong. It was going.
Right. It's a fish storm.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in South Carolina, they had a bunch of. I don't know if it was all AI or not, but they had a bunch of houses in South Carolina getting washed away. And, I always watch.
Was it washed away, or just water came underneath the stilts?
Some of them did that. I always watch now, and I'm always looking for like some signs that it's all fake.
Right.
But Fernando was going up and around, and then there was.
I was thinking more of like Point Break. They're just out there riding the big waves. As they're waiting. Okay, here are the surfers. They're taking advantage of the big swells.
But then, and there was another storm system that dropped off the map this afternoon from National Hurricane Center. So
yeah,
we'll see.
We will see. So, but let's say that we do have, let's see, our peak season, our peak time between September 1st and the end of October. Majority of our storms in the past several years have come in that window. So it's time to be prepared, trying to be ready, have your insurance in place, even though whatever, have your photos, your documentation in place, and so many more things. Where can we learn more?
Where? If only someone would host an event that would allow us to bring the public in to do this type of thing. I don't know.
Well, we do have a spokesperson, Miss Mel Rose. What's going on tonight? How are you?
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
So are we. So excited that we would love for you to explain what you got going on and
when and where and all that stuff.
Well, first I want to say I love what you're doing, just shedding light on that. And part of what we're doing as well is just to give you a little intro on what we're doing. Esther Wise Community Development Corporation is a 501c3 organization. And we decided to do something that we wanted to give back to the community because of all of the things that you have mentioned. And so we decided to do a hurricane preparedness event. And part of it is we started, and one of the initiatives for our nonprofit is called a Recovery Hub. And so what we want to do with the Recovery Hub is to be able to help people navigate through the process of getting back into their homes. Just being out there in the community and seeing all of the devastation and all of the things that are going on. A lot of these elderly people, families, women with children don't have any clue on how to even just start a FEMA application or how to actually fight or appeal these things, as well as insurance claims and insurance stuff. And so we started this recovery just to be able to help people just navigate through that process. And so we decided to do this hurricane preparedness event. It's going to be on September 21st of 2025 from 4 to 8. And it's going to be at the Winter Park Event Center. And what we're hoping to do is really just let people know that we are here. We're finally here. We want to be able to help people. We want to give away a free roof. We want to give away 200 care packages to be able to help people at least start the dialogue, being that we're in Florida and hurricanes are something that we cannot avoid. And so also getting the families to learn how to work together to prepare. I see that a lot of devastation that has happened in the past does not include the family understanding what a plan is when it comes to these things. And so we want to protect the families and the children to make sure that they understand what is going on out there. But just to let you know, we're also going to have music. We're also going to have shingle stations for children. We're going to have some amazing vendors that are going to be coming out and supporting. And that's basically what we're doing right now. I'm super excited about the event.
Oh, that's awesome. And if somebody wanted to look this up and find more information and maybe even register ahead of time, where can they go?
So they can go to raisetheroof.com.
It's a great name too. Why don't we take that sometime?
I know. Right? She already took it.
Ooh, yes. We're also on social media, Raise the Roof CFL, and also Raise the Roof event. And you can find us there. People, make sure you sign up on the flyer or on the website. Just sign up for your care package as well. So make sure you do.
And is it free? Does it cost money to get in? What is it?
It's actually a free event. Wow. We just want to love on the community at this point. We're not asking anybody for money. This is not a fundraiser. We're really just giving back at this point. Yeah.
I know that there's a couple of things I'd seen on the flyer. The FEMA thing's a big deal, helping people do that, because I don't think anyone works at FEMA anymore. Every time I read the newspaper, there's like fewer and fewer people, like the government's cutting more and more people out of FEMA. So hopefully there'll be someone there when the time comes. But if you can help do the application, that's great. And
the paperwork is always the worst part.
Oh, it gets everybody. Because you don't know the time frames, the guidelines. Rich and I always talk about the fact that there's so much we know that the insurers really don't want you to know.
Right.
And there's what we bring as far as sophistication and background and knowledge and experience is the last thing they want.
Yes.
And if you can bring a group of people together like at this type of event and teach people a little bit, it goes a long way. Because I mean, how many times have you heard, oh, you filed it too late, you weren't there on time, You didn't send us the 3 estimates you're not required to get.
Correct.
All these things they require that aren't true, but people don't know.
Right.
And so knowledge is power in this case.
Right. And that's what the Recovery Hub is all about. I mean, we want to be able, I've had customers that, they get $750 for a whole entire roof. And so what we do is we help them appeal it the right way with the right information to make sure that they do get what they are supposed to get, not necessarily what FEMA decides they want to give them.
Well, and FEMA obviously was a big help a couple of years ago when they nailed all those tarps to everybody's roof. Instead of using sandbags, so if there wasn't any damage, they guaranteed there was damage by literally nailing down. And Petronas back then, the CFO was like, step back. We'll handle this for you. FEMA's going to come in. We're going to pay those Stephen roofers. And that whole thing, they come out, and without asking, they just started putting tarps on people's roofs with nails. So as soon as they took them off, everyone had to get a new roof because there were holes all over the place.
Now, was FEMA responsible for replacing those roofs? Should they be? I mean, what happens if they got denied by their insurance company? You know where I was going with that.
Sure. I mean, I would take a case against their insurance company for the fact that the government came in and caused damage to the client wasn't negligent. It's not a manufacturing defect. It's nothing. It's simply I wonder if I'll have to look up if governmental action would qualify, but I don't know. I don't know.
Why am I picturing like Leslie Nielsen knocking on your door, or
Tom Brokaw, or Morley Safer. There's a name from the past.
Well, and
I'm with the government. I'm here to help.
Well, just to say, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, FEMA, yes, but there's also a lot of other programs out there that help people that people are not aware of. And so part of what we want to do with the Recovery Hub is actually get all the resources that they need in order for them to be able to get the assistance that they need. So it's not just FEMA. And we don't want to just put it on FEMA, even though FEMA right now is, short of money. Obviously, they don't even have money really to give away at this point.
Such as Red Cross and other programs.
There's city programs, county programs. Yeah, there's definitely, there's resources out there that give away windows and different things that we can possibly tap into to be able to help these people.
And you're a resource for these other programs that maybe people don't know about.
Correct, but we're also taking donations because we also want to be able to qualify some people that do need the resources and the help that don't qualify for the resources that we provide, and so we want to be able to help them with those things as well.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's everybody has a slightly different problem, right? I mean, after a storm or an event, and which we saw with that weird storm, I forgot the name of it, that kind of went through the armpit of Florida, and it was an odd storm. Odelia?
Odelia?
Maybe,
no.
Yeah, maybe it was that off storm. Yep. And what I remember from that, it went through such just an
unpopulated
area that most people didn't have either insurance or they were severely underinsured.
Right.
And
right. In like around Perry,
around
the turn.
Perry, right.
I remember it all flooded with water, and it was like hurricanes never hit here.
Yeah. And some of these people were left without help. And so I can just imagine I would have a lot of questions, especially if I was severely underinsured. Where do I go from here? Is there assistance somewhere? You hear about programs. Of course, you hear about them afterwards, and when you don't need them, right? That exist that can help people in need, especially in these types of situations. We kind of live in this storm damage, but you talk about people that were affected by the fires or other types of events outside of what we experience all the time is with hurricanes. But yeah, and so you guys are focused here in the state of Florida. And
Central Florida right now. We are definitely working with the city of Tampa right now. We're working on becoming part of the city's, part of their resource center. And a lot of these homeowners have already paid off their homes, and they're not required to have insurance. So some of these people are also being left behind. And so we're kind of targeting the people that are really don't have a lot of resources or opportunities to really get their stuff fixed, and they're kind of dying in their home, if you ask me, with mold and mold exposure and those kind of things.
Tell me about it, right? I mean, so many times we see people, and they don't have any other choice.
Correct.
And that's unfortunate. And we know people in the industry that have stepped up and said that we will put you in temporary housing until your claim is paid out and such like that. And it really helps out. But I mean, it's so hard to educate people with that. I'm in the industry, and we found out about this just a few years ago. But now it is something that people should know about, that there is temporary housing solutions that are available.
I was just thinking that they should probably contact, I'm thinking Black Diamond.
It is.
Right? Black Diamond, but their original business was just housing, and now I knew that they do a lot of different things. But
now it's Black Diamond Services. They do all types of different services within that industry or within the insurance claims process for homeowners, even helping them get funded for their repairs. That's the other alternative.
Right, that's true, yeah.
But let's say that your house was heavily destroyed. You can't live in there, but you want to stay on your property. They have a program where they'll send an RV out to your house so you can stay on your property, and they bill your insurance for it so you don't have to front the money. So there are programs that exist in our industry, and that's great to hear that people maybe that don't have insurance, or maybe that there's a different situation that you will be able to help them with, or at least point them in the right direction, give them the right resources.
We definitely want to be that point of contact just to even organize them. Sometimes people just need to be reorganized and just like let them know step 1, step 2, step 3. It's not always, trying to find just resources, but just helping them navigate through the process, which is probably the most confusing process that exists right now, right? Because a lot of homeowners are afraid to, because they've been so misinformed, they're afraid to file a claim because they think their insurance is going to go up, or just different things that they've been instilled this fear of moving forward, and so a lot of people are just not doing anything.
That's true. We've seen the same thing a couple of years ago. People were very afraid of their homeowners insurer. I think now they're more upset, but still, even between those 2 points, aren't sure what to do.
Correct.
So,
and we want to be a point of contact for any questions that they have. Just being able to help them just with a conversation sometimes is just something that they need. But we're here. We want to make sure that everybody knows this is why we're doing this event. We want to welcome everybody to come out and make sure that you support the nonprofit organization too as well, because we are going to want to be able to take care of this community right now. It needs it. And
tell us again if there's a name to it or where it's going to be and time and date.
Yes, so it's called Raise the Roof. It's going to be September 21st at 2025 from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's going to be on 1050 West Morse Boulevard. It's in Winter Park, Florida, and it's at the Winter Park Event Center.
And as far as access to the website or all those things?
The website is raisetheroofevent.com.
Awesome. Raisetheroofevent.com.
Yes.
I love that. Perfect. Is this your first event? Your first annual event in this for Hurricane Prepared?
Yes, absolutely. It's my first event. Yes.
Oh,
well,
nice.
Our first event, right? Because this is a community event. So, yes.
Absolutely. I'd love to be a part of it as well and help out in any way that we can, especially just getting the information out to folks that are listening. And again, we'll kind of blast this back out through our channels within the industry. So hopefully those folks that are listening in the Central Florida area can attend. It's on the 21st of next month, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. in Winter Park. So check it out there. And more information, do you RSVP ahead of time?
Yes, so they can, when they go on the website, there's a link that says sign up. This will give people an opportunity to get their hurricane preparedness care package, and it'll also give information on the events, and it'll also give them an automated email just to give them all the information that they need for that day.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's raisetheroofevent.com.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That's great.
Love it. All right. Well, very good. And we're excited to not only have you on our show tonight so you can bring this out to the folks listening, and we wish you luck, and hopefully we'll see you again really soon.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
All right. And then speaking nonprofit, you can always check us out, raflorida.org. For more information, you can send us an email, info@raflorida.org, if you have any questions. Anything from the guests that you wanted to hear more of, it's a great email address for you to shoot that over to us. We're going to give some thanks to our sponsors. We're going to come back with Dave with Modern Plumbing, talk about your plumbing needs here in the Central Florida area. So always have great guests with you today on our show and every day. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right, and we're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night right here, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. And then a few days later, we'll be on any streaming site that you listen to, Spotify, iTunes. And, of course, check us out. You don't want to miss any show on our YouTube page. Like us, subscribe. As soon as you get the bing, check it out. You'll be able to see Hans' dapper suit of the week. And we'll get the slow-mo zoom in and out there on his suit, his matching cufflinks and watch and gold chains and everything match. So you check us out there on YouTube and see if I'm making that up or not. But all right, so that was great just to talk more about hurricane preparedness and that event coming up next month. So I thank Mel for coming out and giving us that information for that. It's such a great way to give back to the community. We talk about that all the time about how can we give back, and that's just extracting all of the expertise and I guess just experience out of our head and placing it into the consumer so they can be more well informed, they can make better decisions, they can ultimately do what is needed to be done, which is getting paid for what is owed under their policy, especially when you're dealing with these pesky property insurance claims that most people don't have any experience dealing with. But yeah, so our guest tonight, going back to just a previous guest that we had, and we were just talking offline. He opened up his folder. We have Dave here at Modern Plumbing, and I had some questions. And as an expert, as an engineering firm and indoor quality company, we scope a lot of these cast iron drain lines from these residential homes built in 1975 and before. These cast iron lines only last for about, their max life expectancy is about 50 years. I'm not a mathematician, but 1975 till now, Anyway, so they're all dissolving, right? The belly is what they call is just rotting out, and in some instances, it's almost impossible or very expensive to trench or reroute or to try to bring it back to some pre-loss condition, especially if you have a backup in your home, which could potentially trigger a covered peril within your homeowner's insurance. And if for chance that it does, then the normal remedy, or at least normal in the industry, was get an expert to check it out. And if it can't be repaired, it can't be unblocked, and you had no other way to remedy this, then you would have to trench through the entire house. And let's say they have 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, maybe a half sink somewhere where they're running plumbing. You have to run new drain lines to all those areas, ripping up the floor, the walls, and anything in its path to be able to put these back together. It could be a very expensive fix.
Well, and the problem we run into with that fix is the fact that most homeowners policies, or many, we'll say many, between many and most, now have a limited water damage endorsement, which limits the recovery of that to about $10,000. If you have to trench through your kitchen and cut open the concrete and do all those things, it's $10,000 on day one, much less $10,000 on the end of that process.
Easy.
So you want to be mindful of the fact that most policies do have called a LWD, limited water damage, LWDE for the endorsement. It limits it to $10,000. What's also interesting is that for many years in insurance policies, it talks about they don't cover things that are damaged by inherent vice. And for years I would ask adjusters, what's inherent? And I mean, literally for 25 years I've always said, what can you describe when they'd read it off and I go, whoa, stop. What does inherent vice mean? And
it's like an ex-girlfriend from high school.
And they all were like, I don't really know. But I did figure it out though. Cast iron pipe is in fact under inherent vice, because the moment you put it in the dirt, it begins to degrade. Inherently, it's an inherent vice that product, you can put PVC in the ground for 1,000 years from and well, at least in theory, at least nothing's going to happen to it. But you put cast iron piping around, like you said, a 50-year lifespan, it begins to degrade the first day. Mm-hmm. So, and there's some ways.
And the closer to the coast it is, and salt erosion, that kind of things will speed up the rust or fallout.
But no matter what, day one in the dirt, it starts to degrade, and that, in fact, is the definition of inherent vice.
Right. Well, we didn't figure that out until 1975, apparently.
Apparently not. Well, that's why the Dave started talking about inliner. It looks like whether that's an option now.
Right. I mean, and I think it's an excellent conversation because it's very expensive to retrench. Nobody wants to redo their floors, especially if they have tile. They have other things that they're feeling sentimental about. But what's going on, Dave? How have you been since last time we talked?
Doing great. Thanks for having me back, guys. Yeah, when I was here last time, this subject came up, and I said that I've been doing plumbing a long time, and I still think the best way is to tear it out and replace the pipe because there were no liners that we felt confident about. Mm-hmm. And since then, we now have one that we can get behind. It has a 10-year warranty, and it says it has a 50-year life. Well, there you go. You got 50 years again. But when you talk about $10,000 is the most you're going to get for the average policy, what about the finished floor? If they had hardwood, if they want hardwood to go back, and I've heard people talk about, well, if it doesn't match, they're not going to replace the whole thing throughout the house if it's the same throughout the house, or tile, or some people still have beautiful terrazzo floors. Yeah, that they don't want.
Those are great.
They don't want to. They like their terrazzo floors. So the biggest difference with this one. Just a little bit about Modern. We've been in business 50 years.
Almost as long as cast iron pipe.
Yeah. But we're still here. We're still here. We haven't reached our life yet.
Were you putting cast iron plumbing when you first opened?
Well, and on the break, I told you, we're still spec'd on a lot of our commercial projects that we're still putting cast iron in the ground. So it's still being used. There are different grades of cast iron.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing with liners is having a huge service division and working on it. The biggest thing is when we get a call from a customer, we don't know there's a liner in the pipe, and we put an average snake and cutter head into the line to clear a blockage. Even if the liner was okay before, it isn't now. And then we see it also a lot with people that I don't really like the term flipping houses because a lot of people really do invest money to make the house nicer and sell it for more. But I recommend to people all the time, get us to scope and use a camera and at least inspect it before you put the new finished floors down or whatever you're doing to remodel.
So would you recommend, instead of going in with like the more aggressive line, or excuse me, the
a cutter head or something?
Like a cutter head, how you explained it, would you use more of like water pressure or jets or something so you save the liner? Would that be a new practice? Then, if more people are doing liners now?
Yeah, it depends on the type of liner, So I guess let me start here. The biggest thing that was different about this liner is it uses UV light to cure it and make it hard as a rock. You got any crowns in your mouth? I have quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do they harden that and make sure none of mine have ever come out?
Right. Same.
Okay, so that's what impressed me because what I've seen in service industry is even cutting a line to tie in a new bathroom or a new sink, and it has a liner. As soon as we have to cut it, you can see the liner just no longer adheres to the pipe. So a lot of training was involved. Our guys had to go. The company is in, one of their distributions in Clearwater, so we were blessed there. We didn't have to send them too far. And there's a lot of steps to it because it can't be exposed to the UV light outside while we're trying to do the job. So, we could be doing it outside for an outside sewer connection or inside the house to do one shot where we go from outside all the way up to that toilet that we pull, and we put a whole liner in, and then we cure it with the UV lights that are built into the tools that we use putting it in, and then it's hardened and it's adhered to the pipe.
I'm curious, and how thick is that?
It's about 1/8 of an inch when it's cured, when we pull the UV lights and everything back out.
That's pretty small.
It's pretty thin.
So, and from what I understand, there's like a minimum, like you can't do under like maybe 2.5 inch. So you're like maybe 2.5 inch to 6 inch.
Well, we can do 2-inch. So we're set up to do 2, 3, 4, and 6.
Okay.
So we can do all of those sizes. Now,
you mentioned when you were cutting in potentially for another room, another toilet, and the old liners would just collapse. Was that because they were always uncured? Like before now, they weren't curable?
well, they did cure them, but they used it by hardening it from the inside with just like a chemical. So they would blow it with air pressure and expand it.
Okay.
And then they would blow like an adhesive in that would harden, but it's hardening the inside. It's not really sticking to the existing pipe.
Right.
So when you talk about cast iron in the ground, the most common thing, you get the backup. Okay, so we clear the line. If the cable doesn't get stuck in the bottom of the pipe, what we call the zipper, because there's no cast iron left, the snake that we're using can go into the ground and get stuck.
Right.
Our cameras, when we go in to look, oftentimes do get stuck, and they're very expensive. And you might have cleared the blockage then, but as long as you've got that zipper in the bottom of the pipe, paper and solids are going to cause it to clog again and again and again. So you either got to replace it, which involves the floors and the trenching and everything, or maybe you have to do that. Every house is different.
Right.
Every house, our trained guys will go out and look and say, well, this is, yeah, we know we did this for your neighbor, but your house is different, right? Is your house, Hans, is your house the same?
Now, I know on my street there were like 5 different builders, no less. So I'm sure they all have their own ways of doing things.
I mean, so every situation has a best practice, and that's what we always want to do is the best practice, not just, hey, we're doing liner now, so we're going to recommend liner all the time. No, it's not always going to be the best.
Right.
You know, I might say, Richie, it's, liner's going to work good here, but over here, no, we need to open this.
Right. Because there might be too much of an area that
Unsupported?
Right. So it's in those cases.
You said belly before.
Right.
So you know the word.
Yeah.
So a belly, and for those of you listening, picture a banana. It's not a straight line, okay? When you get a belly, and we have what's called loomy soil in Florida, things settle. Even if it was put in perfectly pitched in day one, and when it settles, if you have a belly and we shoot a camera, I'm going to say, hey, man, the liner's not the best deal for you because the liner is going to follow the same path. That's like a conduit, and now you've got a liner that's got the same belly.
Right.
Wow.
So it does depend. So
It does. It depends.
And so that starts with a thorough inspection, and that's where somebody would call your company, and that's what you would recommend to start off, just getting the inspection, seeing maybe where you would need to go from there. We're really unblocking the line, running the camera down there, and those are things that you offer at your place. And if so, how do we get a hold of you?
So our website is great at modernpi.com, and then our phone number is always answered, and we will always send out a technician that'll give options up front.
All right, we'll talk about that right after the break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, 94.9 FM and 950 on the AM dial. The Answer here locally in Central Florida every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then if you miss us here, you'll find us on our podcast, whether you find us on YouTube, like and subscribe us there. I think we're just close from being able to go live on YouTube here. So one day we'll get that wild-haired and get it set up to where, I don't know, is it on your phone? I don't know. I'm holding up a phone right now like I know what I'm doing or talking about, but eventually we'll figure it out, and we'll join this era of everybody wanting to be a what do they call it now? Not a YouTuber, but the
influencer.
Yeah, influencer. There you go. It's like anyway. So I'm so old. I'm dating myself. But anyway, so that technology exists. Look at that. We even have enough followers to do so. I love that. But on Spotify, iTunes, you'll find us there as well. All right. So today we have Dave with Modern Plumbing, and man, this is great information that we're learning just throughout the break. And I didn't want to say initially, it's like, yes, everybody call and let's go get a free line or free scoping of your lines to see where you're at. But really, it's that relationship that you're building with the homeowners. It's that relationship that you have when you come out, and that professionalism where you can then present to the homeowner, like you were saying, just from the iPad and going over the list of services that you offer, maybe which direction they should go, and let the homeowner choose
you mentioned,
their path.
talk about no trip charge though. That's a big deal. That's usually where they where they get you initially, right?
Well, I mean, commercial is different. Residential, there's no trip charge. We're just happy to get the opportunity. People have already seen all the 5-star Google reviews and know that we've got a great reputation. We've been around for 50 years.
Right.
So we come out and we give upfront pricing. And that could be options. You want a new a new toilet? Here's a basic one. Here's a nicer one. Here's a really nice one. Mm-hmm. You want the bidet, that washes and dries and everything? We can do that too. We don't want to assume that you want a basic. Here's your options.
Yeah.
But like even in the case of, are my sewer pipes okay? Like I said, every person I know in real estate, please scope it before. My daughter was going to buy a house. I said, hold on, let me bring a camera over. And sure enough, I broke her heart. Probably not the first time, but I said, honey, we would have to cut this up and replace it.
Oh, man.
But having options up front, customers comfortable with it. So the scenario we talked about on the break, if you got to clean out outside and we can open it and run our camera in the line and you can see it with us and see the condition and know it, that's an easier job than, let's say, there is no clean out and we've got to pull one of your toilets in order to be able to access the line. So every job is why we want a chance to come out, meet our technician, feel confident that he knows what he's doing. You got to feel confident with the person that's there before you want to do business with them. Mm-hmm. And then they show you options, and then you say, great, let's go with this, and then we go ahead and do the work.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the no trip charge, I keep going back to. I remember I had an appliance guy come out, and literally it was like $150 for to come out. And I understand that there's an expertise to what everybody does, and we can all do things. But I mean, I was just watching, and he says, "Oh," and they couldn't figure it out, and it was just bothersome. And he said, "Well, we can't. Basically, we have to come back. We can't figure it out." And I got the trip charge. I was just like, "Shouldn't I really go against the repair, right? Like, shouldn't get like." I'm literally just paying you for driving like 8 miles.
Mm-hmm,
And if you said, "Hey, look, we'll credit that against the repair," then but it just was a hard cost. Like, "Hi, I'm here. Yeah, no, can't fix that." And I'm just like,
isn't that the hardest part though, is to get in front of the consumer into their door, right? To have them open the door and say, come on in. I always felt like once I got to that point, I got them. I was in the pest control industry for a while, and when I would come out to the home, I absolutely always offered free in-home estimates, and I preferred that because I felt like I can now build their trust. And at that point, just like you said, when they meet your technicians, they feel comfortable with them. They know they can do the job. They're adequate, and you're like, all right, I'm already feel comfortable with you. My guard's down a little bit. All right, what are we doing? Let me go ahead and sign up. Now, if I remember correctly, you have a program. Is it on the residential side where there's a program?
So, yeah, I'd like to dovetail on two things you said also.
Sure.
So as far as never charging a trip charge, our commercial customers are different. We have an hourly rate. We have a trip charge within different zones of mileage from our office. Okay, but we had to, in residential, we've never wanted to do that. Yeah. But we had to make an exception with on-call emergencies.
Fair enough.
And this will dovetail into our plan called Modern Value Plan. If you called and you were an MVP member, you don't have to pay anything out front for us to come out as an emergency, and our flat rate prices are the same even if it's at night or on the weekends. Yeah. The difference is we had to start doing a fee, which, like you were saying, Hans, absolutely does apply to what you actually need once we get there, because we have what was called plumber races, where somebody would call multiple companies. Our guy would get out of bed, we would go there, and then see 2 other trucks leaving. One guy got the job, and we walk away with
nothing.
With a guy losing sleep and maybe not making his first call the next.
Stugotz.
Yeah. So there's an example of, but the modern plan is a membership fee, a lot like HVAC guys do.
Sure.
But if you're having work done anyway, as a member, you're getting everything on those flat rate upfront pricing at 15% less.
Oh, that's great.
So, but we still want you to be a member because our service manager will sign the renewal letter reminder in 1 year and ask you to have us come out. And for $87.50, we're going to do a safety inspection and walk around and maybe find something that you might have been talking to your insurance company about if it had broken loose, if we hadn't seen it. Yeah. So that annual fee just to come out and do a safety check, I think, is reasonably priced. And then anything that you need and priority for service, that's how we treat our residential customers.
And it's true. Because I always say, I'd be thrilled if someone were to call me and say a year's gone by. Because like, all of a sudden you look down and you go, it's been 3 years. Like no one's been, whatever it is. Then you find out something's wrong. You're like, if only somebody had called me, I was happy to get in front of it, but nobody called.
And well, that's your reminder. It really is. Us guys that are busy and just don't realize it's really just not paying attention to life in general. And just time just flies by, and you're like, oh, you know. And there's several projects I'm thinking about right now where I can use modern plumbing for sure. And every time we do have you on the show, I'm like, oh man, I want to sign up. I need to get this done. For that reminder right there is very well needed. All right, a couple dumb questions I feel like I need to ask a plumber. You mentioned about the toilet. So when you come out as a plumber and you're like, okay, and the homeowner's like, okay, I want to change out I want to get a new tub, I want to get a new toilet, get some new stuff. Do you have a catalog for people, or do you have them choose their own replacement, or you actually facilitate getting the actual tub and toilet and all that?
Yes, to both, because it could
That's
be
amazing.
Every person is different. I mean, we can't have a listing and a picture in that iPad that the tech has that shows you every possible toilet, tub, faucet that's out there.
Right.
But the guy can sit there with you, and you can look online at Kohler.com, Moen.com, and help you find something that you really like, or that maybe our tech would even offer that, hey, this looks similar, okay?
Yeah.
And then
So we're talking faucets, you're talking shower stuff. I mean, everything. Then, right?
everything. I mean, we get people that never liked. They always wanted a slide bar for a personal shower for ladies that don't want to get their hair wet sometimes, and there's no way in that shower, and we convert it to a slide bar so she can set it lower and not get her hair wet. I mean, every customer, every house speaks to you, and our guys have the experience, and then we'll help you find what you really want, even if it's not one of the things we normally offer. And then everything that we do can also be customer supplied. Okay, it's probably pretty rare that you have somebody say, well, I'm going to buy the shingles, Richie, you just put them on, right?
Sure.
But in plumbing, we get that a lot. And sometimes we have to say, are you sure you want to get these faucets from Amazon? Not picking on Amazon, please don't. But you know what I mean? Like we can warranty anything that we provide. And if a customer says, well, I want to get it myself, we can still do the installation professionally, and the customer's happier because they went, touched it, felt it, bought it.
Yeah, because as I think of like, okay, if my contractor is replacing my shower or whatever, but that's full replacement mode. But if because I'm thinking about like, at first I thought, okay, do I need an interior decorator if I want to upgrade my not my appliances, but my faucets and those types of things. But I'm really overthinking it. You can have somebody from your team come out and because I'm just thinking about my wife's like looking at, I'd love to, this shower thing is too high. We need to lower this, and this we need to put that over here. And I go back to that. Okay, we need to get a contractor involved or whichever. But really, you can assist in those types of things as a plumber, because that's really who's going to be making these changes. Contractor is going to be working with you to make those major changes. So why not go to you? And I'd say like it's a dumb question, because it's like I never thought to just call your company out and say, you know what, I just need to lower this. I want to change this faucet. This is kind of weird. I want to make this to where, or maybe add the slide thing, or just a head that comes off that you can use for the dog, so I can bring it down. Whatever. So all those things can exist. So you're not just unclogging drains all day. Then you do a lot more services.
My guys would rather not do that many drain calls, and they'd rather help you put a new kitchen faucet in that's much more practical and to your liking. So,
Well,
but we do it. but we have to we have to take care of your drains too.
So a few years ago, when we bought our house, and I went in and I went to turn off one of the valves, and the little valves under the sink, and it gave great resistance, and I went, don't touch it. Everybody stepped back from the valve. And I actually had a plumber come out, and we didn't know Dave then, and replaced all the valves in my house. with what it was like, whatever it was, they were quarter turn, we went to 2, whatever it was.
You got like valve phobia or something?
Well, it does, because man, you turn that thing and that thing goes. That's pressurized water until you can get outside and get it shut off.
Well, I can tell you right now that my house was done by a very reputable plumber, and a lot of plumbers still put compression valves, which we've compressed on copper for many years of my career. I've been doing plumbing 38 years.
Yeah.
But when you tighten a compression valve on a CPVC plastic pipe and you tighten it too much, all you've got to do is bend down to even see if the valve is tight, and it was already ready to break. So my house was pretty much brand new, and I immediately cut out all the valves, even though they were brand new, and I put on valves that are glued with the same CPVC cement that actually weld them on.
Yeah.
So
what would be your bread and butter? What are the most types of services you perform on a daily?
You're going to have to be a little more specific.
I got water running through.
We've got trucks going everywhere. So we got guys that are responding to an emergency that we held back because somebody just went to wash their car that morning and the hose bib broke off the wall, and he has to turn the water off to the house. You got the other person has no use of facilities. I'm not even talking about the commercial side with our commercial customers, but it's kind of
emergency calls.
A lot of emergencies. A lot of people that have been meaning to plan and schedule something, but they only have certain times in their schedule. And it's all about customer service. We got to try and serve. Everybody's got a different expectation and need, and we got to find a way to be that person that can do it.
Yeah, you do. I'm giving you more time now to go ahead and give up your information. How do we get a hold of you? From your email address, website, phone number? How do we get a hold of you?
Okay, so Winter Springs phone number has been there forever. It's 407-327-6000. It's answered 24/7. We have on-call technicians, but the office is actually live answering calls every Monday through Friday from 7 till 5. Except for Friday, the boss lets us leave at 3:30. And then we have it Saturday as well from 9 until 4.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Until next time, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. See you.